Good morning. Happy 4th of July. Woohoo! Here's some fireworks for those who may not see any today. That might be me. I've never liked using fireworks. I've always had some level of respect and fear of them. Now, I like going to a good fireworks show, and I used to love the little sparklers. But to throw the fireworks myself or even try to get the big ones, it was not going to happen at all. So, how's everybody feeling this Thursday morning? I know some people may have to work, so this is just another work day. Have a great work day. Some of you guys are up already barbecuing, or some of you barbecued yesterday. Some of you are on your way to getting up to get ready to go to family and friends' house to cook out today. Have fun. Be safe on the highways and byways. If you're drinking, let somebody else drive or Uber. But even if you're at home, you don't have to go anywhere. Just enjoy your day. Buy you some barbecue like I'm going to do. Okay, so I just got up, and I tell you what, I like ice cream, but ice cream always makes me feel congested. It makes me have a lot of what's the word I want to use? Mucus, which, okay, that's not a great word to use this early in the morning, but yeah, and so I need to leave it alone. So I'm trying to loosen all that up. And these are beautiful. So I keep getting messages in the chat about the monster over there getting a van. Let me say this, and I'm very sincere. I don't have a jealous heart. I don't care whether she gets a van or not. I realized she said, to be honest, the other one was old as hell. She got it. But God allowed her to be able to utilize it, thinking she was going to do good, and she did not. So, we know who pretty much financed this one. And I was talking to my sister, because she only hears about her through what I put on my channel. But she thinks the same thing we think. How many? Okay. I'm going to leave that there. So then I got something from somebody saying that she's begging. Well, we already knew that. When has she ever gotten anything and took care of it herself? Never. This is what I'm going to say. And then I have nothing else to say about the van. But I'll be doing some videos about her begging. So, hey, I do what I do. Proverbs 10:2-5. Ill-gotten gains do not profit, but righteousness delivers from death. The Lord would not allow the righteous to hunger, but he will reject the craving of the wicked. Poor is he who works with a negligent hand, but the hand of the diligent makes rich. You ever met somebody who was always a beggar and trying to separate people from their finances? And don't it always seem like they never really gain what it is they're trying to get? It seems like they always have less than everyone else for all the conning they do. And if they manage to get the things that they want through conning or ill-gotten gains, what normally happens? Take, for example, P. Diddy, billionaire, but got it through ill-gotten gains. every everyone who everyone who lives their life that way someday has to pay the piper. You know what I mean? And as those sayings say, every dog has his day. It may not be today. It may not be tomorrow. But it always seems to come after they feel secure in how they've gotten all the stuff they want. And then, boom, they lose it all. So I've never wanted to get anything that I've gotten through ill-gotten gains. And I've never wanted to get it off the backs of somebody else where I have to use them to do it. I'm not, I can't even imagine having what I've gotten off of doing someone else wrong. It's just not, but then, you know, like I say, I was raised with morals and standards, and you work for what you got. You didn't take from anybody. And my mother, oh my goodness, beg? You couldn't even, like, let's say you went to one of your friends' house, and their mom might have just given them ice cream. And you came in, you know, after everybody has gotten that ice cream. If their mom didn't say, hey, Deborah, would you like some ice cream? I better not say, can I have some ice cream? Oh, my mother would yank you up. She hated someone who begged, and her kids better not be out there begging nobody for nothing. And when the ones that, you know, have those neighbors that like to borrow too much, oh, she would call them leeches. Just trying to suck all the money out of you. Well, we know who that person is. And I hear people say blessings. I don't think people understand what a blessing is when God gives you a blessing. You know, I think people like to, in their own, let me see something here. Sorry, I'm trying to do something and still. Sorry about that. People always want to say something is a blessing, but they did it at their own hands. It's so funny that I've met Christians who be like, oh, God bless me with this, but then later on you find out they did some witchery to get what it is they had. Let's just ask Webster what a blessing is. A blessing is God's favor and protection. God's favor and his protection. Isn't that something? His favor and his protection. So when someone shows you favor, do you pay for it? I kind of think of it as like grace. How we get mercy and grace, and it's not anything we pay for. I'm going to tell y'all a little story, then I'm going to get off here. Because I said I would work a few hours today. I know I'm always wanting to work. Then go do what I've got to do. I think I told y'all yesterday, getting my hair redone, picking up some barbecue on the way, hanging out with my friends, and then rolling it on back here to the country. So, I'm going to tell you the story, because I've heard certain people say that, oh, they did a blessing dance, wasn't it? I guess it would be a God's favor and protection dance, because they got this van. But I'm going to tell you a story about what a real blessing is, and it is about a van. Years ago, and I had to break it up in so many parts, but years ago, we had a car that literally, I guess this is a double blessing, that someone else had given us the car. And it actually had like on the driver's side, the back window where the passenger would sit was broke out. and I was in financial straits. And when I say that, I had no money. I was poorer than a church mouse. So one day, my son had gotten some, and this is a long time ago because he had went and got some VHS tapes from the library because you could check them out, and that's one way that you can watch movies and not have to pay for rental. So he had done that, and my ex-husband was taking him back to the library because I didn't want him to walk in the neighborhood that we had to move to due to finances. And it's like, my ex was like, what's the guy that's on the, was it the Flintstones? I think it was the Flintstones. Bad Luck, Schlep Rock. Everything he touched was just made it worse. That's how my ex was about cars. So now somebody had given us that car because I worked really far out. At that time I was working for the school district, but it was a newer school, so it was kind of far out. He goes to take my son to the library, and somewhere along the way he gets into an accident. Now mind you, it was only, I'm going to say, 2 blocks from the house, maybe 3 at the most. So I'm wondering where they are because it's taking such a long time. I'm sitting on the porch because now I didn't like the neighborhood when I first moved there, but it ended up being a very nice neighborhood. But it had, the house we stayed in was one of those older houses. They had the old original wooden floors. Had like one, I call it the grandma porch, the big old porch, like the kind they would have the hanging swing going and all that. So I was sitting on the porch, and here comes a tow truck. And on the back of the tow truck was our car. Out of the tow truck jumps my ex and my son. And I'm trying to, first of all, I'm like, okay, is everybody okay? Then I'm trying to figure out what happened to the car. Well, you know, once you get hooked up to the tow truck, they're going to tow it because they want you to pay. So they went ahead and towed it. And I'm like, really? So now I have no way of getting to work. Lo and behold, we had some wonderful, wonderful people in our church. One of the brothers in our church who had multiple cars, he let us use the truck, one of his trucks. And then finally, you know, at some point, I didn't want to keep using this vehicle, and I actually resigned. Now, I am one of those people that always have multiple streams of income coming into her home. I believe in that. I don't know if I told you all about that, but I'll share it one day. Let me hurry this up because I'm already at 12 minutes. So anyway, I resigned from my job, and so now I'm at home. And the one thing that had happened, and this story has so many parts of what happened before and what happens afterwards. But anyway, I was actually went, because I'm prior military, veterans could be able to get on Section 8. They had a program just for them through the government. So that's how I was able to get into this home. So by me losing my job, I didn't have to worry about, well, me resigning because I didn't have a car. I didn't have to worry about paying rent. So that was a blessing. You know, I just had to cover food and electric. So anyway, even though I worked for the school district at the time, are they going to show any more fireworks? No, that's the end. Alright. So, where was I at? Oh, because I always had, at that time, even though I was working for the school district, I had actually started my own business in 2007. So, when I started for the school district, I want to say it was 2008. Yeah. So I still have my cleaning business on the side that I still did. So when I stopped working for the school district, my clients still wanted me to come and do what I, clean their homes and stuff, but I didn't have no transportation to get there. So I was pretty much, letting them know that I wasn't sure when I was going to secure regular transportation. and that I would not probably be able to do their home. Now this is where the blessing comes in. One of my clients, her husband was the first African American cardiologist here in Columbia. Their home was like it was 3 different floors. The bottom floor, which in some places they would call the basement, was one whole entire apartment by itself. I mean, it had the living room, the kitchen, bathroom, laundry room, bedroom, I think 2 bedrooms. Beautiful. The second floor had like a library, 2 bathrooms, formal dining room, formal living room, big old family room that was sunken in, beautiful kitchen, and it went off to the garage. Was that all that was down there? I think so. Then the third floor had like 5 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. Of course, the master was up there. Beautiful home. They had an elevator. This home was so big, they had an elevator in it. So she was one of the nicest people I ever met. And 2 of her sons had played for the NFL. Actually, that's how I met her, through one of her sons. Matter of fact, her son, who had played for the Jets and the Ravens, was my very, very first client that trusted me to start my business. And I'll tell you about how I started that. I tell you, I've done so many things in my life. It's crazy. So anyway, she was a Christian. And now here I am coming to clean her house. And she would cook us breakfast. And we would sit down and have like maybe a mini Bible study. We just pick out a scripture and talk about it before I would start working. She was just an awesome, awesome person. I mean, they would ask like, she would ask me like, did I want to clean? Would I have my son, ask my son, would he want to come over and clean the windows? Well, they had these big old gigantic windows, and child, I don't do windows. But they would pay him like $100 to come and clean like 4 or 5 windows. And when he did come, her husband would play basketball with him and stuff. They were just really nice people. I cannot say enough good things about them. So anyway, she was really disappointed when I told her that for the moment I didn't have transportation. So first, the school that I worked for, the nurse that I worked with, because she knew, that I had to resign because of the car situation, which means I didn't have a job, they did something so sweet. The teachers and the staff got together and they bought us all these supplies that you would need, like toilet paper, paper towel, detergent, soap. I mean, it was just all the things, the toiletries and things you would buy for your home, cleaning supplies that would last me for like about 3 or 4 months. Second, I'm not going to say the lady's name, but the one I was telling you that I worked for, she called me up and she's like, "Hey, Deborah, what are you doing?" And I was like, "Nah, nothing, just sitting around here." And she was like, "Would you mind if I stop by?" And I'm like, "Sure, I don't have a problem with that." So I gave her the address. So when she comes, it's her and her daughter. And they come in 2 vehicles. One, she had a Tesla back then. One was her Tesla and one was a Honda van. And so when she gets out, she's like, "Well, I know about, your situation with no transportation." And she was like, "My daughter," now her daughter is a psychologist and her husband, I want to say, is a dentist. But they don't even live here in South Carolina. I want to say they live in like Milwaukee, Wisconsin, or something like that. But they had a Honda that they were getting ready to sell. She had called her mom and said, "Hey mom, do you know anybody that may need a vehicle?" She thought of me. Her daughter literally drove the van to South Carolina, made sure before she gave it to me that everything was okay on the van, brought it to my house, gave me the keys, and gave me a Honda van. I could cry about that right now. Who does that? God. Who does that? God. And the lady paid for my insurance for a month, so to make sure the vehicle was insured and it was filled up with gas and brought it to me. Oh my goodness. I was flabbergasted. I was. It that's a blessing. That's God's protection, and that's God's favor. Because he was protecting me, making sure that I could have resources coming into the house because he knew we needed a vehicle. And his favor was that he allowed somebody who had more than me to pour into me. That is what it means to have a blessing. Not for me to go and connive somebody out of it. Not for me to go and have somebody else finance it through a loan or puts their name on a loan and I pay them back. Nothing. I had nothing to do with this whatsoever other than be in the position that God loved me so much that he wanted to provide for me like he's always done. I have so many instances of God's favor on my life that I could probably write a book or talk about it till I leave here. But I wanted to give you guys an example of what it truly is to have God give you a blessing and you didn't manipulate anything, con anything, or have anything to do with it. God, all right, guys, have a wonderful 4th of July, and may God's blessing pour over all of you today. I pray that if something good happens to you today, put it in the chat. Let's let today's chat be all about the goodness of the Lord. So put in there something that you know for sure God did for you and nobody else did. All right, guys, love you. Me and Parker say, have a great day. We might check in with you later. All right, guys, bye.